I'm going to walk you through the top product management terminology and acronyms you need to know. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Alex. Today we'll be talking about all the fancy terminology that you hear being thrown around. By the end of this video, you're going to be able to easily carry on a conversation with the senior product and business leads at your company, or at the very least, you're going to be able to understand all those Silicon Valley episodes without all the exposition. Let's get into it. There's nothing that tech and product managers like more or less than three-letter acronyms. Well, I don't know if it's more or less, but they use them all the time. Here's some examples. XFN, UI, UXD, UXR, USP, MVP, MMP, MLP, PRD, KPI, OKR. Did you get all that? If not, let's find out what nonsense I just said. The first term, XFN, that stands for cross-functional team. That usually means some sort of a business or product team that is put together in order to deliver a product or a feature or a component, usually comprised of engineers, PMs, designers, and other folks as necessary, marketers, sellers, etc. In short, it's called the XFN, the cross-functional team. You're going to use this terminology a lot in big companies because a lot of stuff is done in a cross-functional team, and PMs usually lead these teams. Let's take the concepts of UX and UI. UX is the user experience. That's the entire user experience. What the user sees, hears, feels, how they interact with the product, what can they expect to get back, everything that has to do with the interaction of the user with your product or service. UI specifically is the user interface. It is what the user sees and what the user utilizes in order to move around your product and interact with your product. The UI is part of the UX. User interface is part of the user experience. Now, related terms, we have UXD, UXR. UXD is user experience design. It means everything from literally illustrations and wireframes and mockups and design to how all of those pieces work together to create this experience for the user. So it's all the parts of the design, the actual visual parts and the product parts, the modular parts where you're actually building this experience. UXR is the user experience research part of it. Everything from investigating the behavior of users to actual user behavior, where you're theorizing about why users are doing something, what they're doing, or you're actually asking them. So UXR, user experience research, has two components, qualitative and quantitative, two broad components, I should say. Quantitative is wherever you're measuring and you're actually looking at what's happening, the data that's on the ground. How are the users actually interacting? How long are they staying? When are they leaving? What are they pressing? Where are they spending their time within the UI? Where do they drop off? And qualitative is where we're asking users about their subjective experiences, or we're trying to evaluate their subjective experiences somehow. My UX people in the audience, please comment down below additional nuances which I missed on this topic. Next, USP. USP is a unique selling proposition, and it goes whether you have a product or a service or even a feature. Effectively, what is unique and why should the users or customers interact with your product as opposed to something else that's on the market today? It is effectively your differentiation. This could be marketing, this could be price, this could be any number of items, but it's what makes you different from the competition. Next, we're going to tackle the concept of minimum viable product. So the first one is MVP, minimum viable product. You're probably familiar with this one. This is what everybody talks about when they talk about running lean, and we should probably disambiguate that word as well. Effectively, when you want to deliver something quickly to the market in order to test whether somebody wants it or not, you want to build an MVP, minimum viable product. Why is it minimum? Because you don't spend time polishing it. You get it to the point where it does the thing that it needs to do. It solves the pain point, or it solves the problem that the customer or the user has, and nothing else. Usually it's really bare bones. It has just the functionality, just the core functionality, no bells and whistles, no fancy graphics, no fancy designs, no fancy workflows, none of that. It just does the job that it's supposed to do to tell you, the product manager or builder, whether or not it's actually useful or anybody actually wants it, or the variations that you need to make to it in order to move forward. The next concept is the minimum marketable product, which is MMP. This effectively adds on a little something on top of the MVP to say, okay, this is something we can actually get money for. This is marketable. We can sell it, as opposed to an MVP. Maybe it solves the problem, but people are not necessarily ready to pay for it. Finally, we've got the MLP, the minimum lovable product. This is the most subjective of the three. The idea here is that it's not just a product that alleviates a need or alleviates a problem of some kind, but it is actually a problem that users love. So it's the smallest possible product you could make where users actually love it and perhaps become big fans of the product, and they're also able to recommend it to others. Stay tuned for part 2 of this series, where we're going to talk about other important product and business management concepts that are not in 3 or 4 letters, but they are important nonetheless. Now, a few product terms. PRD is the project or product requirements document. It effectively describes what it is that you want to build, why, what should it look like, what should the experience be, and describe as much detail as is necessary for the engineering team and the cross-functional team to actually bring it to life. If you've got a small business or product, maybe the PRD is just a few notes that you write to yourself. What is it that you're building? What are the components that have to be in place? If you're building for a top tech company, PRD is usually going to be a lot more detailed, but also not necessarily so, as we'll talk in other videos. You don't really want to over-engineer this PRD. You want to make it just right, where there's enough disambiguation so that engineers and cross-functional folks know what's going on, but also not so much detail that you're over-prescriptive in your write-up of the PRD. Next is KPI, Key Performance Indicator. This is effectively any metric that is important for your product. This could be the number of users, the amount of subscriptions, the number of purchases, any KPI. You could have dozens and dozens of KPIs. People just sort of throw that term around as just an important metric. It doesn't mean it's the most important metric, it's just an important metric. What are the KPIs of your product? Here are the KPIs of this product. Here are the important KPI updates, etc. GTM is the go-to-market document. This document describes how you're going to bring your product to market, how you're going to get it to the customers, how are you going to market it, how much it's going to cost, what are going to be your marketing channels, what are the different unit economics, how much do you need to sell at what point, what type of press or outreach are you doing, and again, the bigger the product, the bigger the company, the more in-depth your GTM must be. It is also a good place around which multiple groups can communicate and collaborate to make sure that we hit the timing for every little thing that has to go right when we launch a product. I'm going to just cover one more OKR and we're going to do the rest in another video. Did I miss any confusing or infuriating acronyms or terms? Leave the ones that you want to understand better or that you hear often in the comments, and we can do another lightning round to demystify all that terminology. So OKR is an objective and key results. It is a methodology that is used by a lot of the top tech companies, including Google, Facebook, and other big companies. You can do a lot more investigation and learning about the OKRs, but the fundamental idea is that the O stands for objective. That is what you want to accomplish. What thing do you want to see in the world? What change do you want to see in the world? What do you want to actually happen with your product or business or whatever it is you're working on? This could be used for personal OKRs as well in your own family or personal goals. Objective, what is it that you want to achieve? And KRs are key results, and effectively they are how you know that you've achieved your objective. So KR might be the activities or the actions that you need to take, measured and specifically, so that you know that if those KRs were reached, then most likely the objective was reached as well. You might have one objective supported by 3 or 5 KRs, key results that are very specific metrics. That's the simplest way to understand it. The objective is what you want to accomplish. KR are the things that you're measuring, the activities and actions you're measuring. And if you accomplish those things, then the objective will be done as well. If you liked the video, make sure to smash the like button as always, but also go to alexrychevsky.com. The link is in the description below, and sign up for the community, which I'm putting together soon. More details to come. And also to my free email newsletter where I talk about practical product management. And also it's just an easy way for us to keep in touch. In the next video, we're going to tackle the rest of this list, or let's see how far we can get. In the meantime, if I missed any terms or there's some terminology that's been driving you off the wall, just spam it in the comments below and I'm going to take it all and break it down for you and tell you how it's used in the wild, because that's what I really want to do with this channel, is teach you about practical product management, realistic things that happen in the wild, on the field. So make sure you sign up for the newsletter. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time. NPS, AOR, PMF, MRR, ARR, TAM, SOM, HC, CAC, ROI, ROAS, DAO, MAU, LTV, ARPU, YOY, MOM, CAGR, AIs, RICE, RACI, SMART, and SWOT.